What is up guys, Sibo here today, and I'm bringing you a different type of video. Today I will be covering some of the assaulting drills that I've been doing that work for me, and I think you guys should be doing too, because it will improve your gameplay. So I will walk you through it step by step. I will explain everything in my opinion and how it's effective, why it's important and such. So we're gonna start with close range. You will need 2 M4s. I usually take 2 M4s, a red dot, next then a quick draw mag, and about a bunch of 5s. As you can see my loadout, that's right here. Have a look, take everything you need, and then come here. Now one thing I don't like, and I have to mention this, is that they removed the moving targets from the last training run, how it was. So there was a big area here which you could use, and they split it up into 2. Now you can use the grenade drills and stuff like that, which I might cover in a different video. Let me know if you would like to see such. But we'll be using these today. They are perfect as well, as they're moving and there's no target, so totally fine. So close range. The first thing that I have to mention is crosshair placement. Now, crosshair placement is really important because you don't want to be looking at the ground while you either go into a building or while you take a close range fight, obviously. Because mostly you will be using hipfire, and what hipfire means, if you don't know, is that you're not scoping in, you're not using your red dot or your scope, so it's just basically like you're shooting like that. You want to be mostly aiming at the enemy's head, just like this, just like I am doing right now. And for some reason, I am not sure why, but you should be aiming a little bit higher than the enemy's head, because when you're hip firing, the bullets are going under the crosshair, like the little dot that you can see in the middle. And I am not too sure why, but just have a look. I'll show you an example. Now, as you can see, some of them go above the crosshair, some of them go below the crosshair, but mostly they go below and inside of the crosshair, like in the middle. I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say, but obviously. Now, how can you improve your crosshair placement, you might be asking. There are a few drills to this, but I'm going to show you the most effective and the one that I'm using currently. This can be done with the red dot, but I'll be covering that in a second for different type of reasons. Now, what you do is get your M4 here. What you do is get your M4 here, stand here. And it doesn't matter if you're a gyro player or you're only using your fingers to aim, it does not matter. What you have to do is stand here, jiggle like this, and I will be telling you about this in a second as well. And just try and follow the top of this target. Try and keep your crosshair on the head. Now, head level is a little bit higher than this in game, but that's totally fine. This drill is to just get you used to following the target when you're in close range. Just like this. Do this drill for about 5 minutes a day, and you will definitely see improvement under a week. Now, as I said before, the jiggling is one of the most important in close range fights that you have to learn and also use. I think it's the most effective. Really good close range players such like Jonathan use it, or Scout, I should say, anyone pretty much that is a professional player. They know about it, they use it, they practice it, and this is something I do as well. So as you could see before, the crosshair placement drill that I was showing you, you can practice the same. Now, one thing I have to mention about this is that the too fast jiggle is not effective. So if you're jiggling like this will not be effective, because in the enemy's point of view, you're basically standing in one spot but moving left and right really quickly, but you're basically like moving that little, so your character is staying in the same spot. Basically, with that being said, it's not effective whatsoever. So try and jiggle a little bit slower, but also it's kind of like mid pace. So this would be really fast, and this is not effective at all. You can also use really slow jiggling, just like this. This is also effective in my opinion. Sometimes it's the most effective, but I use mid pace, which is this, because it's still fast, but in a way it's not too fast. So this is also another thing I recommend you doing, and I think you can obviously add the crosshair placement drill to this, which is pretty much this. So jiggling like this, and if you have trouble with this, just it doesn't matter, as I said before, if you're a gyro player or only using fingers. Try to, if you're using fingers, Obviously you will be using your right side finger, doesn't matter if it's index or thumb, but most people use thumb to aim if they're using their fingers and no gyro. And so what's important about this is that the right side finger that you're using to aim will be moving slower than your left side finger, which most people have obviously to move. And so when you're jiggling, just left right with your left thumb, or wherever your movement button is. It doesn't matter if you got it the other way around, then just think about it that way. It's totally fine, doesn't matter. The key points are left, right, left, right, left, right. And while you're moving that, obviously you're moving your right thumb as well. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm not using any gyro. As you can see, try and keep the momentum, the pace with you. And if you're not comfortable with this, then I recommend a video by Shivan from North America. He's also a professional player. He explains it more detailed in his video and shows a hand cam as well, how to do this, and you can practice it without your phone. So I recommend watching that if you're uncomfortable with this. But practice this like 2 to 3 minutes at least a day, and you'll obviously get better and used to it. It's not really an uncomfortable move or anything, so I think you can get better at it quite quick. The thing I will be covering is crouching. Now, when you're crouching, I have to mention 2 things. When you're crouching, your hipfire will be a lot more accurate, or just when you're scoping in, it does not matter. I will show you an example. So this is standing. And when you move, obviously it will be worse. But when you're crouching, it basically stays inside of the crosshair, so the top and the bottom little line. So crouching will obviously make your shots more accurate, close range or far range, mid range, anything. So crouching is obviously effective, but it also makes you slower. So your movement will be slower, which means your enemy can easily kill you. And also, not to mention that this is just my experience. 80% of the just normal or casual players that play this game, they're usually not aiming at head level like I would. So not like this, you know, not like this. Usually they will be aiming like this or down here, and when they flick to you, they will most likely headshot you. So with crouching, you have to be careful and not use it too often. As I said, it makes your movement slower, but it also makes your aiming a lot more accurate. So what I recommend doing is just to practice this close range drills. I don't recommend jumping whatsoever, only when an enemy is behind a obstacle, or let's say a rock or like a house or a little shack. It does not matter, but mostly I would be using that when they are low. I am aware that they are low, like I made them at least half HP or so, but it's not an effective technique in my opinion, so I would not use jumping too much. Now, so back to crouching. How I would be using it is, every time you crouch, try and change the direction that you're moving into. So let's say you're jiggling like this. Every time you crouch, move the other way. So let me show you a quick drill that you can do to get used to this jiggling, crouching at the same time. That makes your movement a lot more smooth, and also you're not moving the same way, so you're trying to, you know, confuse the enemy, and you're also confusing them a lot more. And I think this is one of the most effective drills, and also in game this works a lot, even on professional level, speaking from experience. And even myself, I have been honestly destroyed by this movement a few times. This is probably my weakness even until today. So the drill is basically just this. So as I said, once you start moving the other direction, just press crouch, or I could say it the other way around. When you crouch, just start moving the other way. So like this. Or when you stand up from crouching. You could also do that, or you can do a faster version. I don't recommend doing this, because as I said, if you're crouching, it will make your movement slower. So in this case, try to do it fast, obviously, but not too much. Something like this, or you could do really fast. But as I said, I don't really recommend doing that, because it just makes you slower, and basically it's almost like standing in one spot as well. Now I will show you a few drills that you can do. This is usually what I do for close range. I usually just stand here, jiggle, crouch, and I switch in between the targets, which is really important as well, and I will be covering this in the next few minutes about a different drill. But this is usually what I do. Just like that, wait for the time. And now keep in mind guys, I use full gyro, so when I'm in a close range fights I mostly use my gyro and barely use my thumb, but sometimes it needs a little bit of helping, because if a guy jumps, like let's say I'm standing here and I'm looking this way, but a guy jumps all the way here, I usually just use my thumb as well to guide my crosshair, because it's a lot easier. And another thing I do for switching in between the targets for close range is just to stand here and use these big targets as well. It's actually a lot more effective in my opinion, and easier to do for beginner players. So that is a little bit more advanced, and mostly I recommend that for gyro players, but it works effectively for both gyro and just finger players. It doesn't matter, or non-gyro I should say. Something like that. As I said, I usually include crouching in my jiggling and close range drills because it's quite effective. Now, the next topic we will be covering is reflex, reaction time, and accuracy. Now, there are a few drills, and let me speak a little bit about this. Now, we will be doing a 180 turn drill, which is basically just this. So you will be looking one way, one direction, doesn't matter. You will shoot down one target, you will turn around and try to shoot the other one accurately as possible and as fast as possible. Now this will obviously take you some time. When I started doing this drill, I wasn't really good at it. I was, aiming all over the place. When I flicked around, I was aiming there when the target was in the middle. So it will obviously take some time. Be patient with yourself. If it's not working too fast for you, then slow it down. Just get the basics first and then try and make it faster like this. So obviously you'll get used to it, your eyes will get used to it, your hands will get used to it. But one thing I didn't mention before is it's really important to be comfortable with your sensitivity. Either if you're a gyro or non-gyro player, it does not matter. You have to be really comfortable and practice as much as you can. Try and find your sensitivity. There are multiple videos out on YouTube how to find your perfect sensitivity. I might be doing one of these videos in the future covering all these topics and my experience with this, but I think there are plenty out there. Now this 180 turn drill is mostly effective when you're being attacked from behind. Like let's say you're in a house in Pachinki, there's a door that way and there's also a door this way. Now when you are fighting against a guy that comes in this way, you might be able to smoke him in a few shots, turn around quickly, crouch and kill the other guy. This is one of the examples. I never thought this would be useful, to be honest, but I saw some Chinese players using it, and it actually happened to me not too long ago in a game. As you could see in my last montage, a guy jumped out. I was looking this way, but he jumped out from the window and it was behind me, and I turned around straight away and my crosshair was on point. So that's why I think this is one of the most effective drills. Do this for 5 minutes a day each. It's obviously not going to take that long. Under a week or two, you're definitely going to see yourself improving. Now, the second drill for accuracy, reflex, and reaction time, I recommend doing one of the easiest drills that you can do. This is good for beginners or advanced players, pro players. I do this every day for about 2-3 minutes before I do anything. So you stand here, you get your M4, you get your red dot, and try to quickly switch in between the targets like this. So scope in, shoot a few shots, switch in between the target, scope in again, shoot a few shots, scope out, scope in again, switch the target. So it's quite simple, right? Now, if you're a beginner, try to do it like this. You could, as before, it doesn't matter if you're a gyro player or not, but try to do it slower first, get used to it. You could also do it to the left. I shoot about 3 shots and I switch to the next target. So by the time I'm scoping out and I'm stopping to shoot, this will obviously be a habit after all. I mean, after a while it will become a habit for you. So you will obviously get used to this, but in the beginning it might be hard. but try to make it as fast as you can. Obviously, if you're struggling to aim directly on the target's head, then keep it a little bit slower, but as I said, try and get the pace up and up and up each time that you're practicing. Now the second thing I want to talk about, which follows this drill, is switching in between the targets. This is really important because when you're fighting a squad, there might be two people in front of you and you quickly have to switch. Now you might knock a guy in about 5 or 6 shots if you're lucky enough, or if you get 3 headshots in a row or something, and then you can switch your scope straight away to the next target and maybe even get 2 knocks in half a clip or maybe a whole clip, it doesn't matter. But basically what I do for this drill, as I said, it's pretty much the same thing as we were doing before, but we are not stopping the shooting. So we will scope in for one target, start shooting, and then switch to the next one, switch to the next one, switch to the next one, switch to the next one. And usually what I do is I try to empty a clip and get from this side to this side, or from this side to that side. Keep in mind, you have to practice each angle, both sides, because it's important. Obviously it will happen in game either way around, so it's important to practice both sides. But I will show you what I'm talking about. Now, as I said, it's really important in the beginning to be accurate first, and then you can up the pace. So don't worry about, being too fast and flashy, because that's not what it's about. It's more about being accurate, and then you can be fast. So just get the movement of it done, make it like a habit, and then you can up the pace, obviously. I usually do 3-4 clips each because I'm quite used to this, and I don't really switch in between targets. Usually I shoot and then I come back to cover and then I shoot again. So I don't really do this. It barely happens, at least for me, and my role doesn't really include that, but it's really effective. Now the next thing, this will kind of be the same thing for close range and crosshair placement, but it is also for target tracing for sprays. Now, what I was showing you before also helps, the switching in between the targets, but this is a different type of drill. You will obviously need an amphor again and a red dot. And all you will be doing, doesn't matter if you're a non-gyro or a gyro player, just come here, try and follow the target with your red dot for as long as you can. You can even switch in between the targets every now and then. Try and keep following them like that. This will improve your target tracing for far long range when you don't have any scopes, or even if you have scopes. And keep in mind I play with 300 gyro. This is also really effective. Now the last drill I usually do for quick reflexes, reaction time and accuracy is I get my gun, I just run around. I'm looking at the ground. As I told you in the beginning of the video, you should not be doing this. You should not be looking at the ground. But for this drill, it's a little bit more important to do so because you're obviously flicking to the targets. You're improving your reaction time and accuracy. So I recommend, if you don't want to look at the ground and too far away, because in the beginning it might not be as easy to switch up and flick to the target as fast and accurately, then just keep your crosshair closer to the head of the target like this, maybe mid-level or head level, just for a normal player. Usually I just keep it on the ground, I crouch, and then I quickly aim in. So while I'm crouching, I also aim in and I move my crosshair to the head, and then I start shooting. I do this for about 2 minutes daily, and this is the last drill I usually do, so it's quite effective in my opinion. I get up, run around, do it again, look away, do it again. I switch to targets as well. I recommend you doing this. This is also quite effective, and I think this is the most fun to do. And once you see a target in the open or in houses, especially with better crosshair placement, it will be a lot easier for you to straight away just headshot them or take them out and knock them as quickly as possible, or react to a certain peak that people are having. Thank you so much for watching my video. I will be doing a sniping video as well later on, explaining how DMRs are working, bolt actions, and showing you some drills. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. If you also have any suggestions for me about video wise or anything, please don't hesitate to tell me. I am open to any suggestions. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.